Okay, so we're going to be, our last set of notes for this evening is completing the square. It's a follow-up note set to square roots. It's when we can't factor something by just factoring like we've done, and we can't factor it by the square root. So we're kind of left in this moment of, oh crap, what do I do? So that's where completing the square comes into place. Now, completing the square can be difficult, but if you really pay attention and really go with it, it should be quite easy. Okay, so of course our title is Completing the Square. It's page 51, date 3/7. The why. Why do we need this? So this method allows us to use the square root method to solve quads that cannot be rewritten as ax squared equals c. Okay, so we can't write them. For whatever reason, we can't write them in this format, ax squared equals c. Maybe because they have a b in them or something like that. All right. So the how. So these are our steps. We're titling this one how, but these are our steps on how to do it. Okay. So you have a problem. Okay. So you have a quadratic that looks like this: x squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Okay. And you can't factor it. It's unfactorable in the sense of you can't break it down. The factors of c don't add or subtract in any sort of way to get to b, and you're just kind of stuck. If you subtract c over, you're still left with this x squared plus bx equals c. That's not in this form, so I can't use the square root method. So we get away with that by completing the square. Okay, so step number 1 is to rearrange your equation so it looks like this. Okay, so we want it to look like this. So we want it to look like this. We're going to take the c and we're going to move it to the other side. Okay, so but we have to put something in. So what we do is, right at this step, we add a square. Okay, don't know if the square is positive or negative, so I just put a positive up front. C might be negative, especially if you started off with a plus here, you would subtract c over, and in our example, we'll do that. Okay, so but we're going to rearrange it, so now we have 2 squares. So you have to balance your equation. So whatever you do to the left side, you have to do to the right side, which is why there's 2 squares, and they will be identical when we do it. Step 2. If a does not equal 1, divide every term by a. Okay, so if this, whatever's in front of x does not equal 1, you'll have to divide everything by a first. Okay. Step number 3. In the squares, write. Okay, so what's actually going in our squares? Well, we take b and we divide it by 2 and we square the whole thing. So in the squares we're going to write this, but actually as a number. We're not going to write b divided by 2 squared. We're going to say if b is 7, it's 7 divided by 2 squared. Okay. Now, for now you can rewrite that left side as x plus or minus b divided by 2 squared. Okay, now what's very important about this is that this plus or minus here, you have to pick the right one. So it's only one. And you have to choose whatever one's going to go in there based on what your factors are. Okay? Step 5. Take the square root of each side and don't, just like with the square root method that we just talked about, don't forget the plus minus. Okay, don't forget that plus minus. And last and final step, solve for x. Okay. So there is it's kind of confusing. Hopefully with the example you guys will catch on really quick. So here's our example. Okay, we're going to solve by completing the square. So our problem is x squared minus 12x plus 5 is equal to 0. Okay. Step number 1 says to rearrange. So the first thing that we need to do, with step 1 is to move this c over. Our c is 5. So we're going to take c and we're going to subtract it. So subtract 5, subtract 5. Okay. Those will cancel. And now we've rearranged it so we get x squared minus 12x. Now that we've moved c over, we're going to add our square. So square is equal to negative 5 plus our square. Okay, let's do this up a little. All right. So that's step 1. Okay, so I'll write a 1 next to this. Okay. Step 2, if a is equal to 1, divide every term by a. If it's not equal to 1, I'm sorry. This has a 1 in front, so we don't need to do that. Step 3, in the squares, write b divided by 2 squared. We need to figure out what that is. Okay, so step 3, I'm going to start it over here. We're going to take b divided by 2 and square that. b is negative 12. So negative 12 divided by 2 squared. Negative 12 divided by 2, well, that's a negative 6. But I already said, negative 6 times negative 6 is a positive. So if we're squaring something, it should always come out positive. It's going to be positive 36. So we're going to write our positive 36 into each box. Okay, so that's also step 2. Or step 3. Woo! 3. Okay. So step 3, we got our squares. Now you can rewrite the left side as x divided by, so 36 squared. Okay, so here's the deal. We got to figure out our sign. This is negative and this is positive. The only way that I could get a negative b and a positive c, remember I told you the rule, if c is positive but b is negative, both have to be negative. So with that being said, step number 4, we're going to get x 36 squared. And we got to figure out what that middle term is, right? But I made a mistake, didn't I? It's not 36 I write in, it's b divided by 2. b divided by 2 is 6. So this cancels out. We're just going to go ahead and get rid of all that. It's x and 6, not 36, not what you see in the square. It's b divided by 2. Well, b divided by 2 was negative 6. Okay? So it's negative 6 squared. The way you can check that is negative 6 plus negative 6 is negative 12. Negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. Okay? And it's equal to, so this is step 4. Okay? It's equal to negative 5 plus 36. So negative 5 plus 36 is 31. Okay? So this is what we have right now. Step number 5, take the square root of each side. So let's take the square root of each side. We're going to use red, blue. I don't know what color we're going to use. We're going to use blue. So we're going to take the square root here and the square root here. Well, this is 5. Okay. Now, with square roots, remember if you're squaring something and then you take the square root, they cancel each other out. So on this left-hand side, we're just left with x minus 6 equals the square root of 31. There's no simplification of that, but you just need to add this plus minus 31. Okay, so we can't simplify this. So this is the last part of step 5. Okay. And then step 6 says to solve for x. So I've got to get this 6 away from step 6. So I'm going to add 6 to each side. Okay. That cancels. So x is equal to, and I'm just going to move the 6 in front, 6 plus or minus the square root of 31. Okay, this is step 6. And that right there is your answer. Okay, so there's our answer. It is a lot to take in. It only gets better as you practice it. Tomorrow you will do practice in one of your stations. So please leave page 52 open for your practice tomorrow from one of your stations. Okay? So again, one more look at completing the square. Please make sure all your notes are completed before you come to class either Wednesday or Thursday.